Hey guys, Triplet every Sunday night, 8 p.m., 7 Central on Travel Channel. Check it out. Edmonton on 7 as always.
Is the Bertcast.
Start recording. I should listen to headsets to see if it's working.
Right.
Yeah, I got a Zoom. I got a board. It's all fucking pissed.
Look, this is it, and it's all set up all the time.
Yeah, it's here. So like the other day, I had. Let's see. Yeah. All right,
we're rolling. We're good. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, the other day I had Joey Diaz. You know who Joey Diaz is?
Yeah, the name's familiar. Yeah.
He's a comic. He's friends with best friends with Rogan.
Yeah.
I had Joey Diaz come over. Adam Richman from Man vs. Food.
Right.
I had just throw that anywhere.
Or whatever.
I had Tom Segura, my buddy John. You remember John Moore? He worked on the X Show. He was a producer.
Yeah.
He's since gone on to produce. Speaking of which, fucking Cronin.
Oh my God, Cronin! I ran into him.
You keep in touch with him?
You know what? Just peripherally, we're friends on Facebook, which means we rarely speak.
Wait, does he update his face? Is he single?
No, he got married again.
To who? Anyone
he got
we
married.
know?
You know what? Not the girl he was dating at the X Show, which was she was smoking hot. She was like this
Lexi.
curvy.
I ran into her at the Tempe Improv. She had twins, and she still looked fucking amazing.
You're talking about her breasts, right?
Lexi Alexander, was that her name?
Yeah, something like that.
She's gorgeous. And red hair, and I'm not attracted to redheads.
And the weird thing is, Lexi Alexander, her name was sort of pre-made to be a porn star.
Yeah.
She sounds like a porn star.
That's her real name, yeah.
But her real name sounds like a porn name. Lexi Alexander.
God, she was so hot. I remember that was So I guess I should do a tad bit of backstory for anyone who's like,
right.
Wait, I know Chris Gore, but how the fuck do you know him?
Right.
So you were on the first TV show I had ever gotten booked on.
That's right. In fact, I was on the X Show was the first TV
Gory Details.
Gory Details was my segment, and I reviewed movies once a week. And it was the first TV thing I ever did. I had no aspirations to be on TV, none at all. I was doing like my magazine, Film Threat, which I turned into a website, and someone had read some of my web reviews and said, "You're funny, come in." And I was writing a book at the time and taking care of my kids. I was a stay-at-home dad taking care of my kids.
And you were the first grown-up I met because like I came out,
really?
I think I was 27. And like Gary Valentine was like 40 something, but he was like, he still partied balls. He was like, let's fucking go to Vegas. Right. And you had your hair started turning gray,
right? And I started going silver when I was like 19.
Yeah, and you had children. I remember someone saying you had kids, and I remember thinking distinctly, why would he do that?
Yeah, I know. Why would I do that?
But like you had kids.
I don't know.
How old were you when you were doing the X Show?
I was like 25 when I had kids. I was doing the X Show. It was like maybe, I don't know, when was that? Like
it was 2000.
It was in my early 30s.
Early 30s?
Early 30s, yeah.
So that makes sense now. Now that I'm an adult, I fucking look back.
But like,
so I remember thinking like you probably have a house, you probably have like a dog.
I actually did have. Well, I was saving for a house at the time. Yeah, I kind of was responsible at a way young age, and as I've gotten older, become less and less responsible.
So I've gotten more responsible actually. Actually, I just had a really interesting.
No, it's amazing. Your place is amazing. I mean, I'm sure you've tweeted pictures of it.
No, I've never tweeted a picture.
You have to tweet pictures of this.
I was gonna Vine a shot of the man cave, but then part of me is like
Vine the man cave, Vine it.
I'm obsessed with Vine right now. A part of me is also like I'm very sensitive because I have something that like I'm sure everyone has, but I have part of a keeping up with the Joneses mentality with comics, with straight up stand-ups.
Right.
Who's doing what dates? How did he get into theaters? Like I don't do it as much now, but I definitely did it. I did it before. I did it a lot before. I would be like, look at people's calendars and be like, how the fuck? I remember looking at Daniel Tosh's calendar in 2004 and being like, and seeing him, and my first words out of my mouth is, "You're working all the fucking time." And he was like, "Have you looked at my calendar?" And I was like, "Oh, busted. I guess I have." So like, I would hate to put this out there and everyone be like, "Oh, what are you, wealthy?" I'm not. I just got given this man cave, but still, I don't. You can't put that into a Vine.
Well, you get like I get lucky. It's sort of like I'm lucky with like
the
stuff
luckiest
like
fucking dude in the world.
I feel really lucky from the standpoint of I get a lot of stuff comp to me that like I already like DVDs. I get a lot of DVDs for free. So it's like
and
I can't complain.
You probably get access to anything.
I get access to stuff. I get the stuff that I want, but it's like you got the man cave. I mean, like this is I'm admiring it, going like, how could I build that? Because I do trick stuff out, and I'm very handy, like having owned a home. Yeah, like I will just build really cool stuff. I'm living in like a live work loft space downtown that if you saw it, it's pretty badass. It's like a man cave times 3. It's like a full-on space.
Wait,
I live alone there. I live alone.
Are you divorced?
Yeah, divorced. Yeah, I got divorced like in 2005, and it was amicable. It was fine. What's so funny is my life at that time was like, if I pitched it to you as a sitcom, you'd go, that would never happen in real life. No one would ever do that. So I had a house that was a house in the front and kind of like you've got, it's like got a guest house in the back.
Yeah.
So when we got divorced, we couldn't afford to live separately in order for her to keep the home and keep the kids intact. So I lived in the back house.
Shut up.
It's a sitcom where they get divorced. He lives in the back house. Like, what?
I had a friend who
made dating difficult.
Who has one of those stories of the best sitcom, you'll never believe it. Real estate mogul, one of my buddies, real estate guy in Florida, making millions, leaves his chick, and then all of a sudden the market crashes and he's paying, for that house, and he's bankrupt and he has to move back in with his family.
That is, I tell you what, that story over and over again is so, I've seen it. It's become so common.
And they got back together.
Oh, that's weird. But it's like so many couples like getting divorced and then they actually still live in the same place and then date. It's weird.
Yeah.
But me, I was lucky I had a long distance girlfriend. So I was just Dad was gone on weekends. But it was all amicable. It's fine. I've got a girlfriend now. And
how old are your kids now?
But they're like 18 and 20.
What?
Yeah, I know. I say the same thing to myself when I say that out loud.
The fuck up.
I know. My daughter recently, she says to me, she goes, Dad, I could rent porn. And I'm like, oh, fuck. My daughter can rent porn. So can my son.
So surreal. I have a 6 and an 8-year-old.
Oh, they grow up whether you want them to or not. They continue to get older.
I'm trying to get my kids to stop. Did you ever have the period of time where your kids would write you like letters, like make a heart and then write Daddy and then go give it to you as a present? Daddy, I made this for you, like on a Thursday.
Yes.
And you're like, great. But I'm a little obsessive compulsive, so I have a hard time throwing those away.
So did you save them all?
So I have a fucking I'm literally trying to clean out.
I just got a box, and it's like all the things they gave me, the Father's Day cards, the all the little things they made. Well, you know what? It's one box. I'm keeping it. I'm keeping it.
I'm like, you guys, look at Priscilla staring. I want to come in. I need to have a conversation with them. Like, listen, guys, I'm a little obsessive compulsive. So, and don't write me a letter unless you're really like it's an emotional thing.
Oh wait, you're OCD too.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm very OCD.
If mine mostly is I can't let thoughts go. Like I'll just run through a thought over and over and over and over again, especially if it's like a bad thought. But it'll manifest itself in times of stress, like hardcore.
Right.
But for the most part, I'm super like no one would even know. My wife knows, and she can see it when it's happening. But yeah, like
oh man, well, just like it's like my OCD manifests itself in like. Everything's alphabetized.
Oh, no. I'm a mess.
If something's like, oh, well, let me turn that coaster so that it's actually parallel to the...
No.
That's how bad I am. Like, I'm awful that way. And I don't bother anyone else. Like, I don't want to burden anyone else with my OCD. It's just that we could be sitting there and the Super Bowl's on and I'm just like... adjusting the snack tray so that it's in the that's
I'm not that guy.
I'm bad, but I feel like it's it's for good, not evil. Look, all my stuff's organized.
Like they tried to put me on meds because it was also like it really definitely for a long period of time manifested itself whenever I had to fly. I had rituals.
Oh, really?
I had sincere rituals that I had to do, and I still do to this day.
Oh, like what? Like what?
Like when I walk on the plane, I have to find a block of like right when I walk through the door, on the door, right to the right there, you'll see drill bits, like
really?
rivets, and I've got to find a symmetrical block of 5 or 6, that make like a star, and then I do a little cross on the inside, and you'll see me. I mean. Every flight attendant's called me on it. Like, it's made of steel. You're going to be fine. Like, I'm testing it out. I'm like, no, I'm fucking crazy. Then I have to say, like,
wow.
Yeah, and I definitely have
I'm
to
not that bad. That's on flights. I'm just like, for me, it just give me an aisle seat. I have not gotten on flights because I couldn't get an aisle seat. Forget it. I can't fly without aisle.
It's manifested itself bad on planes and like,
wow.
Yeah, I definitely I wear the exact same clothes every time I fly. Like, I have to wear jeans, boots, I just retired.
Well, that's fine. You got your outfit.
But I have a hoodie that I always wear, a lucky hoodie.
Lucky hoodie, take it.
And I'm also like, if the second a bracelet goes on, it can't come off until nature takes it off. So it's the worst when my daughters are like, "Daddy, I got you a bracelet," and I'm like, "Motherfucker!" Now I got to wear this bracelet for like. I've worn bracelets for like up to like a year. and been like,
and do you just kind of rub it to try to break it?
No,
just a little. It has to be naturally.
It's got to be natural, and yeah. So these are both gifts from my daughters.
Oh man,
but
they're gorgeous.
Yeah,
great.
They're both luckily the same color.
So cute.
So yeah, but it's not
matches your outfit.
I love this shirt, by the way.
It's
This
an
is
awesome shirt. The giant bear. It's like a picture of a bear.
I got it
in a river, and you gotta
keep talking.
Instagram that.
I'm just making sure we're recording. That's my biggest fear on these podcasts.
What, that it's not recording?
Yeah,
me too. It's like, is it all working? I'm still paranoid with my show. Like everything's got to be just like functioning just right.
So wait, I'm really bad at.
That's okay. This makes you a good interviewer. Makes you a good interviewer, not knowing stuff.
So we worked together on the X show. By the way, I ran into Jillian Barbary at like a Red Bull event. She not only did not remember me.
Oh my God, I have a similar story.
Yeah, she didn't remember the X show.
I can't fucking believe. X show was her thing. She came in once a week.
Every Fridays, came in, hot as shit. She was about to blow up. Jillian Barbary, for those of you who may not remember now, was the big news anchor or morning anchor host on like the fun morning show in LA. She was the Fox weather girl on Fox Sports on Sundays, and she was like on Skating with the Stars. She was she was the biggest. She was our tent pole on that show because then we got canceled and they gave her own show.
Right. Yeah, but she was on, and I ran into her at Comic-Con in San Diego, and she was just amongst a whole group of people. I mean, I was hanging out with like people in the industry. I looked right at her. I mean, like as close as you are to me, and we're like sitting on a couch next to each other. I'm looking at her, and I'm like, hey. She looked past me to the girlfriend that was behind me and wouldn't acknowledge me. So not only did she not recognize me, she was cunty towards me, and it was weird.
I think she's a mess.
I do think she's a total mess.
I mean, I hate to say that because she was. Not that she knows who the fuck I am anymore, but like she was really sweet to me when we did that show, and she was. I remember I got in trouble a couple times, and she always
How'd you
came
get in trouble?
Because
I got in trouble a couple times too, but it's mostly with the censor people.
Oh no, ours was like. The fans hated me and Gary.
What?
Like one time,
but you were coming in to save the show because you remember. There was a cast that was put together initially, and there was a guy that like I just feel like the audience wasn't responding to, and you came in and you were a legitimate comedian.
Yeah, and I was raw. Like I was like
bringing the funny, and it was like. But I think we were destined to fail because it was a daily live show. That was and competing against the Man Show. The Man Show was
once a week,
way more scripted. They had field bits that were just really well produced. And I remember running into those guys, Adam Carolla and Jimmy Kimmel, like on there, and I couldn't say a word. I would be like, hey, like. I love your show because if you mentioned that you love the Man Show,
it sucked dick. Because
when you worked on the X Show, it was like what do you mean? The X Show's so much better. Like working around the producers.
It sucked dick because since then, especially like I did stand up on Kimmel and like. I
bet he doesn't even remember the X Show.
No, he does.
He does?
Oh,
because we were on the same stage. Do you remember Hollywood Center Studios? We would
I can't say that he does, and he didn't mention it to me, but I've heard an interview he did with Marin where he says he holds grudges. He remembers that shit. He remembers everything. But he didn't hold a grudge with me. He let me do stand up on his show. And I had heard through the grapevine that Adam Crow. I mean, obviously FX stole that show. They pitched it to FX. FX passed. They pitched it to Comedy Central. They bought it, and FX was like. Or no, Comedy Central outbid FX, and FX was like, "We want this show. We'll just make our own." And it was their first.
And we're not
project.
guilty of that. We're just the guys that are the performers.
But I liked their show, and they hated me, and I was like, "Well, that sucks. I would like them to like me. I think I'd like them." Like, but you couldn't say anything, so I was like, fuck it."
No, that was the worst thing. Is like I'm a fan of the Man Show, watching it, going like, "God, I wish our show was more like that."
Yeah, me too. The whole time,
scripted bits,
and I would listen to Carolla on Loveline, and he's a fucking genius.
Yeah, no,
and I was like, man, Adam Carolla is the quickest wit I've ever seen. Kimmel starts his show.
His book is brilliant. You ever read that book?
No.
In 50 Years We'll All Be Chicks?
No.
Brilliant book. You would love it.
Read it. I have Allison.
Don't read it. Don't read it. Get the audiobook. That's what I do.
Really?
I get the audiobooks of everything. Like cuz it's cool cuz Carolla reads it. And here's what's funny is he went to high school, couldn't read. He's a guy that can't read. You got to hear his personal story is amazing. He's not so much dyslexic as just he was a guy that like he played football in high school but just like skated through with getting horrible grades.
Really?
I don't think he ever got his high school diploma. Like it was supposed to be mailed to him and he didn't pick it up or something. Like he didn't get his high school diploma. So when he's reading his book, it's like like, so he's skimming it off the top of his head. It's awesome. Like, I love because I've been reading a lot of these comedian biographies, and by reading I mean I buy them and listen to them.
Yeah.
So it's like Tina Fey reads hers, David Cross reads his, Patton Oswalt. Like, it's
Patton Oswalt's I read, and I was impressed at at almost
he's a wordsmith.
Yeah, what a writer. What a brilliant writer he would have been in the 30s. Like,
right.
Like, you know, like if comedy had not gotten in his way, and the only venue for that voice had been literature, like, you know, living in Italy or you know, wherever. He's a fucking amazing writer. Yeah, no,
like, he's a brilliant voice, almost out of another era, observing our current culture, which I love. So, like, I love his rants and essays.
Who else have you read? I read Dimitri's.
Tina Fey was good. There was I don't know. I read about a lot of other books too. When I say read, I mean listen, and it's usually like who reads the book and then who. I mean, I hope Audible is a sponsor of your show because this would be a great place.
I don't
for
have any sponsors.
You should get a sponsor. Get a sponsor. You probably don't need it.
I don't know. I just you know I don't. I never. For me, I'm not gonna say why I did. I have a meeting with some people about sponsorship next week.
Right.
So maybe I don't know. I have this
Does
concept.
it involve a barbecue grill or something?
No.
Something good?
I was looking at it like this is my envisionment, and I've already started the ball rolling.
Right.
I was like, you know what? Why not just me find a product that I want, that I enjoy, much like Joe Rogan
Get
does,
one for free,
his supplement,
and then talk about it.
No, and buy the company.
Oh wow!
And then just sell the product and own it, and it be part
That's
of
smart.
So I'm in the midst of purchasing a vodka company.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
to do machine vodka. Because I don't know if you've ever heard about my story when I got involved with the Russian mafia. And we
I think I heard that. Like, I heard your Marin appearance, and like, oh my God, there's just stuff like about you that like.
And so I was like, you know, it's a good fit, and I like vodka, and I'm a big drinker, and the fans of this podcast are big drinkers. I go on the road. Robert Hartman.
Well, you are the machine.
Yeah, I am the machine. So we'll make machine vodka, and so it's extremely
vodka.
Like.
Is this the first plug? Is this the inaugural plug?
Technically, yes. I talked about it on Rogan's, and Rogan was like, I will sponsor it every show, and I'll just fill up his podcast with vodka. So if he ever wants a drink, I'll drop off. I buy into the dream. I want to have
sponsor my podcast is also Podcrash. Why not?
This is what happened. Is we had Sammy Hagar on the X show, and he had Cabo Wabo, and he did the Cabo Wabo Bikini Girl contest,
right?
And he walked into all our rooms, and he gave us a personalized bottle of vodka, signed or not vodka, tequila, Cabo Wabo, and he very blatantly was like, "I want contestant 3 to win." Because me, Gary, and Craig were the guests, the judges, and I was like, okay, and he was like, that's it, and I was like, yeah, and he goes, well, you know, not everyone's as easy as you are. You and Gary seem pretty easy. The other guy's not having it, and I was like, yeah, Craig does. That's not Craig, but that's me. And then I go, hey man, why did you start a tequila company? And he goes, you making a lot of money or something to that effect? And I remember Sammy Hagar saying this. He was like, no, you know what though? Every time you pull out this bottle of vodka, you're going to go, hey, Sammy Hagar got this or this bottle of tequila. Sammy Hagar got this for me, and my name's going to be mentioned. It's great branding. And I was like, fuck yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to sell vodka. I'm going to give it away to people. Like, I'll go to people's podcasts, and I'll just give them a bottle of vodka and go.
Every time.
And every time they go, is this Bert's vodka?
Yeah.
That's another plug. I'm like, fuck it. I love vodka.
Who doesn't love free alcohol? It's the favorite kind.
Take it on stage. I'll send it to my buddies. Like when they go to the road, I'll always have the bartender send up a shot of the machine vodka. Oh I'm in the. It's very difficult though to purchase.
No, really,
it's extremely difficult.
Wow.
I have my agency.
Well, I hope the deal goes through because this would be bad with this big plug and then.
Yeah. Well, it's going to go through. It just isn't like it depends. I may not make any money on it. I thought I'd make millions, and it's like no.
But I mean, you know, you get involved in things business wise to like, you know, this is a good thing. This promotes. Yeah. This creates other opportunities.
It's like, look, if I break even, you know what? At least fucking at my funeral, they've got the machine vodka around my casket, and everyone gets fucking hammered. You know, it's a great story. It's just another layer of like, anyway. So yeah, Jillian Barbary.
Yeah, Jillian Barbary didn't remember. This is great. This is great because this is a total ADD conversation.
Yeah.
which is my favorite kind. We will get back to these threads that we mentioned earlier. But yeah, no, didn't recognize me, didn't say, and it was rude. Like if anyone was at a bar or a social event, I mean, it was a private party, and just went to you in front of you like this, wouldn't you avert your eyes to look at that person? She purposely didn't look at me. It was the creepiest thing. It was like, oh my God! Oh, F you! Yeah.
I was at a Red Bull event. I was doing the Flutog for Red Bull, and I was like competing in it. And she was co-hosting it with my buddy Dan Levy. I don't want to say that's accurate, but Dan Levy and her were the two guests, judges or hosts for Red Bull. So I go up to her, I see her, I'm with all the Red Bull executives, and I go, oh my God, it's Jillian Barbary. And they're like, do you know Jillian? I go, yeah, we worked on a show together for like 2 years. And they're like, oh my God. So I go up and I go, Jillian. Very sweet. She's like, hey. I went, hey. And gave her a hug, and she goes, do I know you? And I went,
my God.
Yeah. But then I'm like, okay, I get it. She's been working consistently for 10 years.
Well, the thing is this, I will forget, like, some people just like, you know, like
I always forget people.
Yeah.
So I go, Bert Kreischer, I was on the X show with you. And she goes, awesome. Were you like, what? and then she says to me, what was the X show? And I went, on FX. And she goes, okay, all right. Oh, yeah. And then she taps out, and I look at the execs, and they're like, and the execs are like, yeah, well, it's, you know, they're like, this has been typical of behavior of her. This is who she is. This is Jillian. She's kind of flighty or whatever. And I go, yeah. So then we separate, we wrap, and then she's sitting there. You can see she's Googling. She's on her phone doing something.
You.
I'm sure she is.
Show.
I'm sure
like
she is.
The thing is this. I feel like when someone either doesn't recognize me or they think I'm someone else, like I'll get someone go like, yeah, Chris, G4, Chris Hardwick. And I'm like, yeah I'm Chris Hardwick. Yeah. And then I act like the biggest dick because I want to make sure they remember that Chris Hardwick is a prick. I want them to know Chris, but they recognize me from G4, but they get the wrong Chris.
Right.
And then I'm just like, complete opportunity to fuck with someone. I mean, you could have fucked with it. You could have said, like, look, we were engaged.
She then
don't you remember blowing me at Hollywood Center City?
She was sitting at a table, phone out. Clearly she had Googled the X show or what, and she was like, I guess she was on it. Yeah. And then she waved me over, and I went over. Her shoes are off. She's sitting with her feet up on another chair. She was like, yeah, the X show. Were you like a producer on it? I said, no, Jillian. I go, I was and right now I'm uncomfortable. And I'm like, no.
You're like the main host.
There were four hosts.
There were four, but you were the dominant.
She goes, Mark DiCarlo is one. I was like, yeah, he was. And then he got fired, and he got replaced by Daphne Brogdon, and then John Weber left, and she's like, yeah. And you totally tell she didn't remember. And I was like, but more importantly, I was like, man, if I co-host, like, there's no way I would forget you. Like, right. And I only saw you once a week.
Yeah, I know. Like, that's the thing is, like, I was there once a week. Like, I remembered everybody from. I remember the main producers I worked with.
I got an email from John Weber who's like doing professional wrestling, and I was like, oh wow. It's just so good to hear from him. Yeah. But like, I definitely remember people I hosted shows with.
Yeah, John. Yeah. James Rowley. But she's done. Mark Cronin.
I ran into one of the producers. Produced something I did for Scripts recently.
I'm doing actually something with Gary Arbach. Actually, I'm doing a show with him. Yeah,
I almost did a show with Gary.
It's a show called Pursuit of Truth. It's a show it's basically like Shark Tank, but for documentary filmmakers. So I'm like a host on the show. I think I'm actually the host.
That's fucking awesome.
I think we start shooting it tomorrow.
Gary, by the time I got there, Gary had kind of tapped out emotionally.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was more interested in doing like indie films. Yeah. With he and Peter Billingsley. Yeah. You know, and the thing is, they sort of dabbled in like doing indie films, and then they also do TV. But I think TV, to me, I love working in TV. It's more steady work. You know, movies, you're like, you do it, you're out, it's done. You just don't know whatever's going to happen to it. You know, I've made indie films, and
TV. You know, it's so funny. When I first got my first deal, I remember asking this dude, David Tochterman. I was like, hey man, I go, why don't you do movies? And he was like, I don't know. He was like, it's where I found my home, and it's a lot easier. It's a lot more quicker. And I said, yeah, because I just assumed I wanted to get in movies. Right. And then I did a sitcom, and I loved that immediate reaction. And I was like, oh, this is fucking perfect. And then I did the X show also, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is day and date. I got a home. I got a job. I got a family. I got an office. I got a green room. I loved it. And then now I can't imagine what small amount of whatever film work I've done, independent or, you know, shorts. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the not getting the immediate applause or laughter.
Right. And the immediate reaction, that's what's great about TV. This is why I think actually TV writers and producers are migrate to movies so well, and they're so good, is because they get that constant, feedback from the audience. Like you need feedback. Like as a performer, you need feedback like air. It's how you live. It's how you go, oh, that joke works, or this story works, or I know that this kills. And you get that immediately in the form of like, people posting online or Twitter or whatever it is. You get like, that's what, to me, doing live TV is the best, because it's like you do it, it's done, it's over. Like not even live to tape, like live. Like with G4, I was doing that for 8 years. Like you come in, you're gone. You know the show's over at 5 because we're done broadcasting live at 5.
So wait, so you go from the X show, and then where do you go right after
I did a whole
that?
bunch of other. I did like Festival Pass. It was sort of like Wild Honor Film Festival for stars. I did the show called Ultimate Film Fanatic with the same producers, Cronin and James Rowling.
I definitely saw
on IFC, and then I did like a whole.
I did see Ultimate Film Fanatic.
Yeah, and then I did a bunch of pilots like for E and what. And then I got like, I'd want to give up TV because I'm like, fuck TV. Wait, can you swear on your podcast?
Of course, yeah.
You can say, okay. Yeah. I said, fuck TV. Like, I didn't like this whole thing of like, oh, we want to make you we'll make you hip. We'll make you this. We want to do your hair like this. I'm like, no. I said, I reject. I said, I want to be myself on TV. But I didn't know who that was because I wasn't a performer. I was a guy that was a writer who, like, they said you should be on TV. And I'm like, I don't want to be on TV. So then when I started doing G4, it's like I came in and I demanded, I said, I get to wear whatever I want. Like if I have a T-shirt, I get to wear whatever T-shirt I want. Yeah. And I was smart. I actually wore T-shirts that I sold through my company Film Threat. Oh, like your vodka thing. See?
Smart. Yeah. I got to get you a machine shirt.
Oh, I'll wear it. Dude. I'll wear it. I'll wear it on.
That's so funny. That's so smart.
So then I wore, like, I even got a fight with the lawyers there because I wore shirts that said, I heart your vagina. It was like, I heart your vagina. And I wore it on Valentine's Day. And I thought, vagina, a word that Oprah says pretty much every other day. Yeah. I can't say vagina, which is a medical term that your doctor uses. Yeah. I can't have that on a shirt. So they let me wear it, which was great. But then it's like I get to wear whatever I want, say whatever I want within reason. Like my opinion is mine. I obviously I can't say swear words, but I did find out I could mispronounce swear words. So I could say like, oh my God, Jillian Barbary, what a shatheed. Oh, she's such a shatheed.
Poor Jillian Barbary, by the way, is going to get inundated with the emails from this. Yeah. but Adam, she's got 1 million followers on Twitter. She'll be like,
she doesn't care.
She'll be like, sadly, I don't remember those guys.
Yeah. Oh God, I think that's a chick thing. I think that's a chick thing.
It's like, also a hot chick thing. It is
a hot chick thing. It's like it absolves you of any responsibility.
Yeah, it's a hot chick thing. She's been inundated with dudes hitting on her entire life. So anytime a guy has, so it's like I get it. I don't hate Jillian. I just wish she had remembered me. Yeah, I'm indifferent as well.
I'm indifferent, sort of like whatever. So, but G4 was my first experience where I could actually be myself on TV, which is why I started developing my comedy. It's like, look, I don't want to do a movie review because even like movie critics to me are just stuff shirt kind of people. Yeah. Like I like to tell you like why I like something, but then in a funny way that you'll remember it. Yeah. And if there's an opportunity for me to go more towards comedy than actually information, I kind of go more towards comedy. So then for years doing Attack of the Show at G4, people were like, how come you're not doing stand-up? Are you a comedian? They would ask me first, like, are you a comedian? And it's just like, I don't know. And I was like the class clown, and all through, like, even when I look at my print magazine stuff, it's all like when I was doing Film Threat magazine, it's all humor based. And I'm like, why don't I just do it? So it was Jonah Ray actually, like 3 years ago.
Jonah Ray, I heard, by the way,
I love him
on Maron's podcast. And
he was great.
I'd never been more fascinated by a dude.
He was great. Well, I listened to him a lot on The Nerdist, so I knew a lot of. I
listened to The Nerdist once. It was Zach, and I loved it. I loved it, but then it just was like I never clicked, and I didn't know Jonah. But then I listened to Jonah, and I was like, but then I did I sent like a tweet out with his name in it mentioned, and he didn't reply, and then I was like, fuck him, he's dead to me. Not really, but you do get like you do feel like if you put someone's name in a tweet and they don't respond,
they'll notice it.
Yeah, you think they'll notice it, but I don't.
But the weird thing with comedians and Twitter is that they don't follow each other. And I feel it's a fear of – because I will test jokes out on Twitter like, oh, I wonder if this joke works. And then if I get a good reaction on Twitter, like it gets retweeted or favorited like a couple hundred times, it's like, oh, I'm on to something. That could be a bit live. But Jonah but I feel like comedians don't – like if you look at almost every comedian, they've got like 10,000 followers and they follow 200 people, but none of them are fellow comics. It's a weird thing. It's almost like
the Jedi Council of comedians got together and we decided that there were absolutely the maximum number of people that a comedian may follow, maybe 200 people. Also, you may not follow. It is forbidden to follow other comedians on Twitter. Let it be written. let it be done.
So
I follow 670.
Yeah, I follow like 900, but it's like, oh, like there's comedians and stuff I like, and then there's, but like after a while, if I don't get followed back by someone, it's like, all right, they're not interested in what I'm doing. But Jonah said, like, why don't you do like you do live TV? And I was like, yeah, I don't give a shit about getting up in front of people. Like, I'm not scared. Yeah. I don't care. I'll get up in front of 500 people, 1,000 people. Yeah. I have no fear getting on stage. And that adrenaline,
Yeah.
The adrenaline is why you do it. That's the addiction. That's the drug, is getting on stage.
Yeah.
So he's just like, oh, I'll have you do a Meltdown show. And at the time, my girlfriend, she's also a comedian, had done comedy. She's like, oh, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to do. It's like, look, I just want to make sure my material's funny. Yeah. And that I'm, it's like, I want to rehearse this stuff. So I had I don't know if I had a full decent 7 minutes then, but I did a 7-minute set. And I was just like, had my good closer, and I fell when I got off stage. It was like my first thing. I'm coming off stage, and I fell, but I made it into like a funny thing. Like I got up, and it was, hey, I was all right. I actually, as soon as I knew I was falling, it's like, I have to fall way harder to make this funny. I can't just trip. I got to fall like I'm hurt. So as I'm actually in mid, I'm like, then I really fell into it. So it was cool.
And then you're like, well, the bad part is I dislocated my shoulder, but I mean, it sold a bit.
It was great. And Tom Lennon was the headliner of that show, and he was like, hey man, good set. So it was cool. And since I've done here and there where I'm just honing. See, part of me wanting to be on your podcast was, first of all, you invited me, which was so awesome. Well,
I
don't know how we connected. I
got a tweet. You, I almost want to say it might have been about the machine story, but I got a tweet.
Oh yeah, I heard you on Marin. I was like, what a great. I tweeted about it,
and then I replied back, and I was like, and I think I had actually already was following you.
Oh, that's great.
And I was like, oh shit, because you've been everywhere. I mean, I've seen you on everything.
Oh,
and I was like, and it's kind of neat when you see someone succeed and you knew them.
Let's
earlier.
not go far to say succeed yet.
Hey, we're both successes in this business. So I was like, oh shit, I want to. I'll reach out to him. And then when I started doing the podcast, I'd originally thought I was like strapped for guests. I was like, who do I have? Because I'm not.
If you're strapped, I'm your guest. I'm your perfect guest.
You're a great guest. You fucking kidding me? So I was like,
well,
who am I?
Start with people you know.
And so I was like, well, I want to do an episode with Daphne, Craig, and Gary. I want to do one with them.
There should be an extra reunion show.
I know, and so I'm going to have John. I'm going to have John Moore write some segments for us to do.
Let's do it.
4 of us are, yeah.
Can I be on there and I'll revisit gory details?
Yes,
and then you guys can make fun of me as I'm doing it.
We'll do an hour episode of the X Show.
Yeah, we'll
see if we can get Jillian Barbary to come in. So then
we can just do a little thing. We take audio clips of her and just have her say fucked up shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We'll just pull it off the internet.
Yeah.
So then I reached out to them and they were all into it. And then I was like, and then I got in my head and I was like, oh, I could just chill out with Chris by myself. So I emailed you and you're like, of course, you, Jen Kirkman, and I think and Brendan Walsh were the first 3 people I really reached out to.
Oh, wow.
Were I don't have they're not like people I can just call up and ask, but I was like, I'll reach out to them. And
I did an M-Bar show with Brendan Walsh and he had a meltdown.
Great. Did he really?
He had a meltdown. I almost think though he was just doing it as. First I thought it's a bit. It's a bit. Then it was just like. No,
really?
It was crazy. It was at M-Bar.
I'm so out of the alternative scene that I don't even know. I don't even know what Meltdown was.
Excuse me. Well, Meltdown is the Meltdown Comics. It's the Nerdist Theater.
Oh, so it's not a Meltdown. It's not a okay.
M-Bar is just this bar. I mean, it was great though. I also did a show at M-Bar with Brody Stevens, who was the headliner. I freaking love Brody. And Zach Galifianakis was there, and he saw my set. He came in. He's got that poker. Visor thing that he wears and sunglasses. He sort of sits in the back, but it was that was a fun show. Just knowing that he was there.
Exactly.
But I'm all in the alt scene where there's no pay. There's no pay. So I'm kind of here as wanting to reconnect, which is great.
Yeah.
And secondly, I need your advice on my comedy career.
Get on the road
because I don't have one.
Get on the road. It's
Well, how do you even do that? But do you have a booker? What do you do?
Yeah.
And this is for anyone in the audience. This is
how broad we're getting now. It's just we're talking. This is inside baseball stuff.
It's there's millions of people. They're not millions. let's put that in perspective.
Yeah.
There's probably 50,000 people listening to this right now.
Right.
That do you like how I'm very specific about?
Right. Exactly. People. But I feel like there could be a whole podcast because I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts. Obviously. I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, and I feel like there's a whole section of the show, every comedy podcast that's 1/3 of the show that is things comedians talk about between each other that no one else gives a shit about.
But a lot of people listen to podcasts. A lot of the podcast fans are people that have aspirations to get on stage at one point in themselves. And then that's why they've listened to comedy podcasts. I would be if I had a nickel for every time someone pulled me aside and they're like, "Hey man, I love you on Rogan," or "I love you on Marin," or whatever podcast they heard me on, and they're like, I'd love to get on. I'd love to start doing stand up. Do you have any advice? I hear that all the time, and so my advice is the same that Dave Attell gave me, was like, get out of the business now.
Oh, is that what he said?
Fuck yeah. Because he's like, you think it's hard getting on stage? Whoa, wait till you try getting on the road. Wait till you try getting on headlining. Wait till you start headlining and start selling tickets. It just gets more complicated. But the advice I'd give to that I have given to a lot of dudes in the alternative scene is get out on the road and perform in front of strangers. Because when you go to Omaha and you have a group of people that do not know you, have not seen you on TV, and do not care of your who you hang out with in LA or what your grooming is, it is a true testament to how funny you are. Right. Because and I'm not knocking by any stretch of the means the alternative scene, because I've done I've done the alternative rooms once. Well,
that's what inspired me. That's what inspired me actually to do comedy, was seeing so many shitty alt comics. Yeah. It was just like, oh my God. Okay, things that you like I could literally do. I could come up with a whole list of things in alt comedy that I feel like are just the worst.
You're gonna find
your
hacks
roommate.
You're gonna find hacks anywhere.
You're repeating bullshit from your life on stage with those long-winded, sighs and pauses. That's not comedy. Yeah. That is venting. It's bullshit. Do that with your girlfriends over drinks.
But there's something to be kind of culled from that scene, which is brilliant, and which is the freedom that you see the people that are doing it right on stage with. And but once again, I'm not knocking any part of that scene. But you're going to find bad comics in every scene that you go to. It's just they do the hackneyed version of what they've seen people succeed doing. That is just simply how that's going to work out. You're going to find you're going to find dudes in the NBA that wear the arm sleeve when they saw Allen Iverson doing it. They're just hacks. They're just copying Allen Iverson. Right. So it's the same thing. And the thing that the alternative scene offers that is genius and brilliant is a free-form style of comedy that is not specifically derived out of these are the bits that the industry are biting into. They're talking very personally and openly about their lives, and they're going about it in a kind of poetic way. And there are dudes that I've seen that are just genius. I have not seen Jonah Ray, but I heard Marin talk about him. I'm dying to see that dude.
No, Jonah's great. Jonah's great. I heard him talk about album.
I heard him talk about like whatever it was, like some real open, honest thing he did at one of the shows that Marin was talking about, and I was like, dude, in a lot of ways.
It was great. It was great. No, Jonah, he is, to me, one of those top alt comics.
Yeah, I'd love to see him. There's a lot of guys I'd love to see, but I just simply am never around, so I don't get the opportunity.
Well, I think he has the filter to go, this is a story worth telling. Yeah. Because just because it's from your life doesn't make it worth telling. I've just seen enough bad, and that was inspired me. It's like, you know what? People say, and it was the worst thing. I'd be at Home Depot, and I'm friendly to everybody. Why? Yeah. It's a better way to go through life. Yeah. Just be nice to people. They'll be nice back to you.
I want to reinvent the horn.
Yeah.
I honked at a guy today, and he was like, "You're an asshole." And I was like, "I was just telling you light was green. You were texting. Why can't the horn just be a little more gentle?"
Right. I'm not the kind of guy that gives the finger. I feel weird about that. Yeah. Saying, it's like you really have to do something that's like horribly offensive for me to get like in your face about it. Like it's got to be, a line has to be crossed. But it's like, and I'm the guy that, like, if you honk at me, it's like, I'm sorry. You're right. I was trying to get over, and I apologized.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like I'd be at Home Depot just being friendly to people. They're like, "Are you a comedian?" I'm like, no, I'm just not an asshole. We're doing this transaction. I am giving you money. Why not make it interesting for both of us? And I will just make jokes about what is present in front of you. And so I was just like, fuck, I'm just going to do it. So Jonah said, do the Meltdown show. It was my first time. And then I've been just getting as much stage time as I can around.
And that's what's the beautiful thing about the alternative comedy scene. And despite, I know that I recently heard there was a gripe about money at UCB with some comics, but
that's a whole different situation.
The whole thing though that's great about the comedy scene is that they've opened a ton of rooms that people can get on stage.
Yeah, see, I don't know that that's a very complicated situation, but like I perform at IOS in an improv comedy group, and I do my podcast live at IOS. In fact, I should have you on one of my live shows.
Love to.
Yeah, so and IO's it's a great crowd. They love, but like I think it would actually be complicated for me to get paid because I know what the box office is bringing.
Yeah.
in. I have guests on stage and I have people that work with me. Am I supposed to pay everybody? And then if I do split up the money, it's not going to be. We're not talking about what like $25, $50 each.
When I do a set at the Improv, I get $13.
Yeah, and like what am I supposed to do? Like okay, now I got to get a $10.99.
Fucking ass.
And then like I'm currently on unemployment, so it's like then I'm going to have to like report my $13 of income to unemployment, the EDD office. Like, I'd rather not get paid. I'd rather like if they're going to give me anything, just give me like a voucher for parking and drinks.
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
Then
like,
the
that's all I
evening will be
care about. But that's easy for me to say because I'm.
But you're an established comic.
Yeah, and
I am not.
Like I'm not a young comic, and I'm not living hand to mouth. And we're like $13 really matters when you're like, fuck, I would love to get 2 beers, and those are my 2 beers. Yeah. Like so that's hard for me to say, and I
or 2 machine vodkas with cranberry juice, please.
So like that's the one thing the alternative scene has definitely driven is there's a bunch of great rooms and there's a bunch of kind of young cutting edge comics that are trying new stuff, and when you're around that you're going to raise your game. Now I would say
I feel like LA is where you practice. LA
should be where you practice.
LA is where you practice, and it's like okay, then does it work in other rooms?
You realize that every there's thousands of comics in the middle of the country where LA is where they showcase. So where we practice is where a lot of people come out to showcase.
Oh, wow.
So there is this kind of double-edged sword of like, yeah, it is where we're practicing, but at any given moment, you could get a deal from a set you did, or someone might see you and go put them in that movie.
Well, that's the thing is that's the thing that I've sort of been making this sea change in my career because people have known me as like, you're the movie guy, and it's like, I don't want to be the movie guy. I never wanted to be the movie guy. I want to be more of a writer, producer behind the scenes, like, like I'm working on 2 animated shows. I'll show. Oh, we got it. Hey, let's caller number 1. Let's see. Someone on the phone.
Let's see.
Is it someone good?
I don't know.
It's Rogan.
I don't know who it is. Let's find out.
Let's see if it's someone we can put on the show.
Hello. Oh, yeah. Hold on 1 second. Shouldn't have taken this phone call. Give me 2 seconds. I'm sorry. There you go, babe. All right, perfect. So that's
I thought we had a caller.
No, yeah, I think it's about.
But look, I'm not a young comic, but I feel like also when I see the young,
you don't want to be a young comic.
No, but see, when I see the young comics, I'm like, oh, you haven't had things happen to you yet.
You don't get a voice until you're 40.
I've been through divorce. I've got kids. I've had kids, and my kids are growing up. I look young enough, like people, with the exception of my hair, which is very Steve Martin-esque. Yeah. And the thing is this: when it comes to money, I've bought all the things I need. Yeah. I'm okay. But I feel that what's cool about comedy, which I began to notice, and this has been a change in the last, I don't know, it's maybe like 10 years, is if you identify yourself as a comedian, you have way more latitude or flexibility in your career. For example, like if I'm a film critic, film critics can't be actors. Film critics can't produce things. But if I'm a comedian, I can produce a TV show.
Oh, yeah.
I can
100%.
write a TV show. If I'm a comedian, I can act in a movie. I can be in a sitcom. I can do a stand-up show. I can put out a stand-up comedy album. I can also write a book. If you identify yourself as a comedian, the willingness with which people are going to accept you in other arenas is so much greater.
Skyrockets.
It's Bert can write a book. Yeah. Bert can do vodka. Yeah. Bert can do a sitcom. Bert can do a movie. Bert can do whatever. You can do anything else. Bert could win an Oscar. Think of how many comedians
you can win. You can win a Grammy being a comedian.
You can. It's unbelievable. Comedians can do music.
The thing you need to do then is
that's why I was like, I'm a comedian because I've been called that all my life.
So there's 2 ways of getting on the road. One is, Doug Benson does it really smart where but he's also got a body of work, including Last Comic Standing and Super High Me, and a dude who's been in the scene for probably 20 plus years.
And he has a body, let's face it. Doug Benson has a body.
So Benson does it right, but that's kind of hard to come by. The way I gotta be honest with you,
he books doesn't like the comedians I know that like really they just book themselves. They just call up and they've got like, here's my YouTube links.
There is one way There's A rooms and there's B rooms. There's
Right.
A rooms, there's B rooms, and there's C rooms. Arguably, what people
What would be
probably-
like a Cobb's Comedy Club?
That's
'Cause
an A room. That's an A room.
That's because I performed there
Yeah.
for SF Sketchfest.
Yeah, that's an A room, and you could get booked at Cobb's. And although it's a big venue, so it's like I'd kind of go.
I think it's 400 seater
It's a big venue
with the balcony. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
400.
big venue
Yeah.
especially for a weekend, because you're
Yeah.
talking about to break even in a place like that. You've got to move at least 1,200 tickets throughout the weekend.
shit.
Yeah, and so you figure.
And then what do you make that weekend? 1,200 tickets. What is it? 50-50 with the venue.
No.
How does it work?
'Cause they're gonna
tell us
they're
the
gonna
math.
comp. They're gonna comp a vast majority of that room.
Oh, wow.
There'll probably be
Fill it
600
up.
paid, maybe 600.
But they're all
paid.
drinking and they're making money on the drinks.
But
The tickets
that's
and-
their money, and you can never incorporate that into your paycheck. That's the thing that sucks. So the way the comedy club business works, and I'll give you the smallest way. So there are dudes like I will think of a name. I'm trying to think of a name that like Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, you know who Kevin Hart is? Black comic, probably the largest selling comic act in the world right now. So he goes into a place and he tells them what he wants. I want 90% of the door. And so they are
So he can
basically,
dictate.
100%. Then there are guys like myself. I'm in the middle range now of my career where I go, I do get a percentage of the door. I do have a guaranteed. It's like the win-win scenario. I'm not going to make $1 million a year doing stand-up, but I'll make a comfortable living. But I also have to be able to relinquish, control of the weekend to the club. A lot of guys don't want to do that. Now, when you're younger, the control of the club and your control of everything is relinquished 100%. You're making probably $1,500 to headline. They will comp the fuck out of the room. No one in that room knows who you are. No one. You do morning radio. The morning radio doesn't know who you are, nor do they care.
Right.
And it is an uphill battle. The whole point of the road is like you don't ever want to do the 1,500. You just want to do the guy that comes in on a Tuesday. Take your Libsyn numbers. Find out where you're most popular. What cities you're most popular in. Find the big local comedy club. And promote it on your podcast. Talk to the club and say, I want to come in on a Tuesday night, straight up door deal, like, probably 60% of the door, 70% of the door, or a Fallout Wednesday night or a Fallout Thursday night, or find someone who's a bigger comic who doesn't want to do Thursday, Sunday. You do Thursday, Sunday. They do Friday, Saturday. A lot of guys like Louis now just
split those nights.
and what you can do, which is the greatest thing, is watch a dude do an hour. Watching dudes do an hour that know what they're doing is eye-opening. It's a different muscle. I remember the first time I did an hour was at a place called The Laugh Stop in Houston. I did it because Dane fell out, and I'd never done an hour. And I went in, me and Gary Goldman, and I had to do an hour every night. And I was like, oh, shit, I may have an hour's worth of material. I don't have the ability to do an hour yet. Like the ability
like to sustain.
ability to drive a story from beginning to end in 1 hour and deal with the check spot, deal with people calling out, and make it seamless and fluid. I was like, I don't have that. I have an hour's worth of material, but I don't have an hour yet. So then I learned
That's kind of how I feel I'm at now. Like I've got
You gotta
about an
do an
hour's
hour.
worth of material.
You
I
gotta
don't know
do
if
an hour.
Yeah, but doing an hour straight through, I feel like I need to rehearse that.
No. You just do it.
You just do it. Just
you
do
just
it
got to
on
do
stage.
it. It's trial by fire. It's stand up. You don't.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that's the beauty of stand up. Is like I have an idea. I'm going to try it out, and that's what drives me nuts. Is when people complain about like a Tracy Morgan bit that Tracy Morgan says or Daniel Tosh. I'm like, it's stand up. We're trying things out. We don't know if they're funny until you don't laugh or do laugh.
Right.
Like our goal isn't to hurt your feelings. Our goal is simply
Yeah.
to make you laugh.
God, I've got a few stories in my sort of hour where it's like I don't know that I'll ever make it work.
Oh, yeah.
It's like not sort of like
Those are the passion projects.
But
When
then
you have a
it's like like my girlfriend even suggested like a really good you should change it to this, like add this one line. I'm like, oh my God, that's a good note. Like you get constant notes, so it's like maybe I have enough for an album. Like, because most albums are between 25 and 40 minutes. They're not full.
They're definitely going to be.
Hours.
You definitely want 45 minutes. You don't want to go 25.
25. That was Jonah Ray's album was 25 minutes. I'm like
Really?
that I bought on iTunes for $9.99. Was 25 minutes. I feel like the standard is lowered. I don't mean that like the standards for the comedy. I feel like the standards for what comprises an album is like 25 minutes now is kind of like, well, if it's 25 minutes of stellar rather than like 40 minutes of like, well, that was okay.
Yeah, but if it's 25 minutes of stellar, I kind of want I want another 25 minutes of more Stellar.
Right, exactly. Well, but like Patton, I mean, I bought everything that he's like he does about 40, 45.
Yeah,
like
40, 45 is you want to do a headlining set for an album, in my opinion. And I'm a little bit old school in the sense that I didn't sell albums until I had the material. Like there was a lot of with the change of technology, there was a lot of dudes who started putting albums out when they shouldn't be putting albums out because like when I was younger. So like I remember when everyone was like, dude, you got to get a fucking CD. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not ready. Attell just released his first like 2 years ago. This was when this was happening. And I was like, and it was amazing. And I want mine to be amazing. And they're like, fuck it. You can sell it on the road.
I think it takes years. I think it takes, especially for my first, it's sort of like, well, I'm drawing on all of my previous life experience and the last 3 years of doing stuff.
Other thing is
so it's like, do I have it? Like,
no, but you
maybe.
don't, but you want your, your bits aren't done. How long have you been doing stand-up? Like
3 years. Like,
okay,
actually,
your bits aren't done.
I agree with you. I'm with you.
You don't really. I mean, you don't get your voice until 10 years in. But
you think so?
The point is, well, that's also we're talking about children starting. Like when you start at 25, who the fuck are you at 25? You have a lot of like, what would be funny to do jokes. Like when you turn 35, you're like, oh shit, I pissed blood the other day, and then everyone's like, ooh, I want to hear this story.
I actually have a good story about that too. Like I bet we both have one.
But the point is like, don't be in a rush to release the material. Hold on to it, keep working on it, make it better, and you'll find yourself going like, damn. Because what'll happen is you'll release an album, and then you'll keep doing some of that material, and you'll be like, oh my god, that fucking. I've gotten like I had a carrot cucumber joke that I told a long time ago, and it wasn't until recently that I made it. I made the end so much better.
Work.
I made it so much better. And I was like, I wish I hadn't put that on my hour special because now I'm like,
you can't do that joke again. You get the rewrite of it, which is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do people? Yeah. That's
get on the road. Find what cities you're big in. Find an off Thursday night. Offer to go in for maybe you can do a guarantee. Maybe you can do a door deal. But go grassroots. Ari, and
do you like get a booker? Like, is it like what? How do you get a booker?
Get a booker. Do you have an agent?
I have a manager, but she's not in the comedy world. From industry entertainment.
Okay, tell her to set you up with a comedy booker. Tell her to set you up with an agent.
Yeah,
a lot of you. I mean, dude, you could do fucking colleges. You could do. I mean, there's a lot of shit you can do in stand up.
Yeah, that's true.
And colleges is a great place to learn how to do an hour.
Well, the thing is, I have a college speaking agent. So I will do like an hour, but it's sort of an hour of like where I'm telling like stories that are like some of them are comedy. So it's like when you say 10 years, I agree with you. But I've been doing TV since I've been doing TV for 15 years, and I've been doing like speaking engagements, like public speaking. I've been doing since I was in my 20s. So it's but that doesn't mean comedy. That's a totally separate thing.
Yeah, but it does cross over, and
it crosses over a little bit. So it's like that's why it's like I'm not like there's certain I think barriers like when you go to open mics and stuff. Like I love just as a like thing. Like I know Doug Stanhope loves to do this. Just go to really horrible open mics, just because you're watching these people that they're just trying to remember. I've seen guys shit on a joke in the middle; they can't remember the end of it, and they're just like all these like. And I feel so bad. I feel for them, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is entertaining only for me. I'm enjoying this, but not for the reasons that anyone else. Well, no one else is enjoying it but me.
You should talk to your college booking agent and say submit me for NACA. And NACA is like the big event, and if especially if you can incorporate some of what you know, like some of like an expertise of what you do know is film,
right?
Don't make it about film. Make it like make it stand up, make it funny, and then incorporate how they know you from G4 and all those things you've been doing. Right. I guarantee.
Or the X show, maybe they know me from the X show.
Probably not. But
probably not. You're right. No one ever remembers. I have to remind people that show existed. It was weird. I don't know what our numbers were ever, but
they were big.
That was, but.
They were big for numbers now. Like
for now.
It would be a smash hit.
Yeah, now it would be because it's weird how the landscape has changed where it's like everything is about online now and there's a lot of like online like
I'm blown away. Weird. I'm blown away at the new business paradigm set up.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like you go into an agency. That's why I'm in love with my new agency. You go into an agency and I love talking about the future and you get dudes who get it. Like sometimes you talk to old school dudes in this business and they're like, well, I say that what we should do is we'll take it to a network. We're gonna. I'm like, what do you mean take it to a network? We can do this shit. Like let's. Like I love that the kind of way things are changing, but stand-ups.
The way things are changing. Like to me, I still look at someone like Louis C.K. That's how that guy. And it's so weird when you see the credit at the end of his show.
Produced, written, edited,
yeah.
directed, performed by Louis C.K.
He's a game changer in many respects.
Yeah.
I mean, he also
that stand-up special that he sold for $5. I bought it.
I bought it too. It was and it was fucking awesome.
And it was awesome. Yeah, like that. I feel like, but then also
the real question is, I want to know what numbers Aziz Ansari did, because that's the real, like, that's where
he did the same thing. He did
the same thing, but no one like went over through the roof about it. Like no one talked about it.
He didn't write a blog entry after about how I made a lot of money. That was great. I love Louis C.K. What balls to like. Not only did he like put out the special for $5, you could digitally download it legally, but also like wrote that blog entry saying, "Fuck it, this is why I did it," because it would have cost $20 if it was a normal special. Would have been put out on DVD. He would have made
a shitload of money from that.
But also, it's like I look at someone like, to me, Amy Mann. I know this is a weird segue, but Amy Mann's very friendly to the comedy community.
I just listened to a podcast with her.
She was on Marin, but I'm a huge fan of Amy Mann. She doesn't know who I am. Sadly, I've gone to every one of her shows in L.A.
Yeah.
I've seen her like 15 times in concert. But she got screwed over by the record company way back in the day. There's a really good book. It was put out by the Onion AV Club called The Tenacity of a Cockroach. The Tenacity of a Cockroach, or the Tenacity. What it is it's interviews with people that are alternative in whatever the medium, whether it be film, TV, comedy, like Bob Odenkirk's in it. Amy Mann is in it representing music. So it's all people who made their own career in a respective industry, not necessarily comedy, but and she talks about how she did this. She basically could not release anything for 3 years. She was in some holding deal.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
So then she finally put out her own album. It was like 3-4 years later, and the first song on the album is she says the word "fuck" on that song, and it's great. It could never be played on the radio. She doesn't give a shit. It was almost like a release for her, that album. It was awesome. And I just look at the way like she direct markets to fans, and she even says like, look, by being less commercial, I sell fewer albums. I know the numbers are fewer. However, I make more money because it all goes directly to me. There's not a ton of middlemen. I'm not paying 90% of the earnings go to some marketing team at a company that's marketing 50 other bands with just some sort of cookie cutter BS. It's like, I feel like you have to have a marketing brain, which I've kind of always had instincts for, like this marketing brain to promote whatever it is you do. You have that,
I didn't have it. And I don't even know if I have it per se, but I did not have.
Machine Vodka. I think you have it.
That's
your
only,
podcast. I think you have it.
Look at your podcast numbers.
But that's only because the only reason I say that is because I was forced into looking at the world that way through guys like Dane. Dane looked at this business, namely as a business. When I started, I was this.
You're friends with Dane Cook, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot. It's weird. There's a lot of Dane Cook haters out there.
It's stupid too. It's stupid.
I don't hate him. I don't hate him. I'm like,
here's the thing. He's such a kind of pivotal, like controversial figure in this business because he did change the paradigm. I mean, before Dane.
But I feel like it's cool to hate him, which I think is bullshit. Like I think that's stupid. I'm just so out of the loop on that. But to me, I looked at him and it's just like, look, this is a guy that did it. Did it. Him,
He's a complicated man. Like trust me when I say.
I don't know him.
Just being his friend, he's definitely complicated, and he's definitely maybe not everyone's cup of tea per se. Personally, it's not like as a dude, but I will say that whatever. He's gone through in the past few years has distinctly changed him entirely.
That Louis episode he did was amazing.
Where he's like, he's a lot more relaxed. He's a lot more like, a lot more grounded and centered. And I was like, how did that happen? He's like, well, when you lose both your parents and your brother steals your money, kind of happens. And I was like, oh yeah. God. So he lost his parents in like within a month or something.
Yeah,
and then,
I think I remember hearing him talk about that on a podcast.
Dane changed the business. And I didn't want to change with it. I was like, I don't want to fucking be on MySpace. I remember going to Dane's house one day and he was like, can I tell you a secret? I was like, yeah. And he was, you got to get online, man. You got to chat with your fans. If you chat with your fans and like, and you connect with them, I'm telling you, man, it really helps. I remember him telling me, he was like, there's this site, called Friendster and there's another site called MySpace. And I was like, I remember saying like, good luck. I'm not going to do that shit. He told me this well before any of this fucking blew up. I'm talking years. I watched the dudes who designed MySpace do coke on a table in Venice talking about MySpace and Dane Cook. And I remember my buddy lived with them. And I remember going like, these guys are out of their fucking mind. It's about the art. Before Dane Cook, people would bomb on stage. Before Dane, people would bomb on stage. You'd watch Dave Attell take a hot one just to kind of like figure out new shit.
I love Dave Attell.
And then
his stuff's one of my favorites. He is
Dave
one of those
Louis,
that I admire.
Dave and Louis would bomb. People would bomb. Then Dane showed up, and man, the dude never fucking bombed. He murdered every time he touched the stage. It was like watching Caveman make fire for the first time.
But it's weird because I feel like, and just from being around, there's a certain kind of comic scene you hang around where it's like, oh my God, your negativity and your depressing stuff is soul sucking. It sucks the energy out of the room. You sit there just like they have nothing good to say about anybody, nothing good to say about the industry, nothing good to say about themselves. There's almost just like this. It's sort of like the negative confidence, and then you see someone like a Dane Cook come up, and he's just like filled with this intense confidence and positivity in a lot of ways, and I think people respond to that. I mean, like, and the thing is, he had, let's face it, he had a failed film career, but I wish if I could talk to him.
If Dane is listening to this now,
I feel like what I would say to him is like, but I feel like if I could, or if you talk to him, I feel like the way he could have had the movie career, because I think what he tried to do is he wasn't himself in the movie career. It's like, we're going to do a comedy with Jennifer Aniston and we're going to make you the romantic lead. That's not him. If he had made a comedy movie where he fought a monkey gladiator style, and it was like they actually, because I remember his bits where like they took bits, because that was the cool thing.
Well, he did that.
Steve Martin.
He did that in Simon Says. Simon Says with Dennis Rodman. Did you ever see that?
No, I never saw that.
It was one of his first movies. There's a great story about that that is kind of like Hollywood legend.
What?
Mind you, this is all hearsay. Is that the right word?
Yes.
This is all story through story through story. So I don't know how true this is at all.
Yeah. So don't sue.
So don't sue
Bert
me.
or the
but
podcast.
I'm telling you, this is something I heard. So Dane gets a new agent. I think it's at ICM, and his first day signing with them, they get an offer to do a movie with Dennis Rodman, and I don't know how true this is at all. And they're like, take it, fucking take it. It's a lot of money. Take it. And they sign the deal. Deal goes through, they push it through, and they're like, congratulations, you just got a straight offer to to do a movie with Dennis Rodman. And Dane's like, fuck yeah. And then they come back, and then they send him all the things, and after it's signed, they go, I'm sorry, wait, we didn't want this guy, we wanted that guy. And they were like, nope, too late, you already signed this guy. And it was
so they
wanted another actor, and they sent the stuff through. And Dane, that's 100% legend. Now, clearly, I could clear this up with Dane. Although I don't know if Dane would tell me. I don't know if anyone wants to own that kind of history. I'm sure now he wouldn't mind. But like, that's what I heard, is that they sent a contract through, like with a straight offer for this guy to play the part, and it was with Dane Cook's name, and they signed it, and they put Dane in a movie, and they got this other guy who they wanted. They could plug in something else. They made money on top of money.
I feel like you could get the story out of him if what you did. You should start another podcast, the Bert Podcast Network.
Yeah.
You could just shave your hair a little differently, put on some glasses, and you could do a podcast called WTB, What the Bert. You just do What the Bert, and it's very serious conversations with comedians where you get them to cry and talk about their heroin and drug abuse. You just which is Maron's show, which I love. I love that show.
No, Dane is he's a really interesting dude, and he's always been nice to me. I've actually never had a problem with Dane ever.
Well, I don't know him. I just know that everyone dislikes him, and I've defended him just because I'm like, it's sort of like the reason I'll defend like not so much the recent, but early Adam Sandler movies. It's like, I like Adam Sandler.
I like Adam Sandler too.
I like Adam Sandler. I also like independent films. Yeah. I like foreign films that where I have to read subtitles. My taste is very broad, so I like some of the lowest of the lowbrow. Yeah. But I also happen to like, I like a good steak. I don't know,
I've got that window of intelligence where Hollywood makes movies for me. I'm not.
I like a good Hollywood movie. Give me a good one. Give me robots beating the crap out of each other. I will go there.
I'm not smart enough to know that Bruce Willis is a ghost. I am dumb enough. I am just dumb enough. I'm just dumb enough to get it, to understand it in that 5-second window when the writer wanted you to understand it.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
I've got that intelligence that I'm sure it's like probably 190 to 120 IQ. Where they write for you, where they're going. Like I had a buddy Hutch who could not figure out for the life of him who the fuck Kaiser Soze was. He's like, why is the Gimp walking regular? And you're like, that's Kaiser Soze. I mean, he watched it 3 times. He's like, I don't fucking get it. So my intelligence.
There's something to that where it's like I remember there was a certain point in my life. I remember when my kids were little, where I just like I don't know, like I had to go. You know what? If I don't think about stuff so much, think I'll be happier. Like, I actually made a conscious choice. Like you can actually make yourself miserable. I mean, there's like an Annie Hall, little Alvy singer, well, the sun's going to blow up. We're all going to be dead. Well, yes, if you think about anything too much, you will be a depressed, unhappy person. If you can just sort of dial back the thinking too much, and I don't mean that it's a bad thing, just dial it back, because then there's so much more to enjoy, and you're not thinking about stuff that doesn't matter.
I do that with my cell phone.
You do that really?
Yeah, like probably a little over a year ago, I went through some hardcore drama with like a friend that was really kind of upsetting and very frustrating and it made me angry. It made me like I couldn't really defend myself, and I just kind of was like, and it was very public, and it was on Twitter, and it was like fucking yeah, and it was really a horrible situation. But what was happening is I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm obsessing about it, and I haven't really done anything wrong. I knew for a fact that when I took it, I was like, in a month, I'm going to go, this has nothing to do with me. None of this has to do with me. I didn't do a fucking thing. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to turn my phone off. I'm not going to look at tweets. I'm not going to look at texts. I'm not going to look at anything. I'm going to enjoy my family. I'm going to go for a hike to the Hollywood sign with my daughters, and I'm going to fucking tap the fuck out. I'm done with this. And I did, and it was the best thing I ever fucking did. And now when I go to like when we do travel shows and we're in Jamaica and I can't use my phone, I find myself.
It's weird. Yeah. Like when the power goes out, it's like, wow, I kind of like not having devices that are distracting me. It's weird. You can kind of clear your head. I feel like,
although there is something really exhilarating when you get like a tweet from someone who's famous, and then they tweet you, and you're like, what? How does this guy know me? And then you get excited. That feeling is so like. It makes your heart race, and you're like, I wonder what the equivalent for that was a caveman is like when he's just sitting in his cave and a deer walked in front of his cave, and he's like, shut the fuck up, it's right there,
free meat.
Yeah, free meat. Oh my God. Yeah, but I
get that when I'll meet like other comedians and people in the industry, and they know who I am, and it's weird.
Well, you've been in the business for 15 years.
I met before that even I did this movie magazine. Well, come to find out that my movie magazine, which was very humor based, Film Threat. A lot of comedians read it. Matt Besser, Matt Besser, Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Introduced himself to me at South by Southwest when Comedians of Comedy first came out, and I didn't know who he was. And I thought, oh my God, you're hilarious in that movie, but I didn't know his comedy previous to that.
Oh yeah, he's a killer.
Then it followed
on
his career like after that movie. Paul F. Tompkins, like people that I know, like wow, they know me from this magazine that I did that was a funny movie magazine. I just only recently started doing comedy, and
just like the audacity of a cockroach or the whatever it is.
The tenacity of a cockroach. You should read that book, man. It's inspiring because it's all these people who basically they're all people that said, you know what? I'm going to do this DIY. It's a harder road to go, but I have more control over my content career. It's not going to be mainstreamed in a sense. And they always have the option to like, someone like an Amy Mann can go, I'll do music for a movie. She can sort of bump to other more mainstream things, but on her terms. And I feel like that reading that book really inspired me. It was right when I started doing G4, and I'm like, you know what? I'm doing things on my own terms. I'm not going to be groomed. I'm not going to be molded into an image. And I recently, what's so funny is I'm working with Gary Arbach on this show, who, we worked with at Mindless Entertainment to do X Show. And he starts to say to me in this meeting with Peter Billingsley, like, we saw your reel and all this. We just want you to dial it back. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I will change the tone. I can be serious. I mean, I can, because you listen to a lot of comedy podcasts, there are moments you get serious. We're having a serious conversation. It's kind of dark. Yeah. Then there are moments where it's like, so we're laughing. So it's like, you tell me what the tone is. I can do both. I can do both. I think that's what's great about comedy is that like, you can get into that kind of darkness. You can get into it's not a surprise to me that so many comedians have transitioned to serious acting. I mean, because so much comedy comes from horribly painful things.
Yeah.
So he's saying to me, Gary says, so we just want you to like comb your hair. It's like, comb my hair? You mean like change the hair? My hair is kind of my signature thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I said, not doing it. I said, no. I said, I didn't care about like, it wasn't the money, the schedule, anything. It was just like, not changing who, you can change the tone because I can do both those, but you want to start to change me.
You can't touch my face.
Yeah. That's kind of just
I definitely have problems with that. You can't touch my face.
Like, you can get anybody else.
It's different if they go, it's different if you're playing a character and they're like, we think this guy would have a mustache. That's one thing.
wasn't playing a character.
Yeah, but if I'm playing me, like I've definitely come across that.
Oh, really? Where people like they'll try and go,
just
well, can you just hip you? Wear this shirt, do this. I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah, and so I can completely. But here's the big thing. Like, and I read this article today about Ed. Do you know who Eddie Wang is? I think Wang. I'm saying it wrong. He's got a really cool show on Vice called Fresh Off the Boat. And he just was a TED speaker.
I've heard of that. Is that Vice on the internet? Vice.com.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Vice is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
And then he was a TED speaker, and I was reading this article about him that was a while back, and apparently, he got offered a cooking show and he didn't want to change his voice, and so the negotiations fell apart because he didn't want to lose who he was as his voice or who he was. And I was like, yeah, I was definitely there at one point in my life, and I remember being that guy and being like, but then I think the older you get, you go, well, I'm a lot more open. I'm a lot more amiable, amenable.
Yeah.
Malleable. I'm a lot more malleable now. Like but I think that's mostly because I'm a grown up and I have kids, and I'm like, my stand up will always be my stand up. I'll never. That's me. I write it. I perform it. I'm the only one.
Even in a room, you'll amend depending on the audience. If you're doing all senior citizens, you're gonna amend maybe.
But you don't want Anthony Bourdain or Eddie Wong to change who they are, because who they are, that little freaking spark.
That's why you're hiring them.
Why you're hiring them.
Right.
So that was probably the wrong deal for him. But for me, and I thought this when I started working to travel, I thought I got to be edgy. I got to be, and then I worked there and I was like, wait, this is a really fun job. This is just really funny shit. And I give them everything. I give them all of me when we're on set, and I do whatever I do. I'm not doing someone else, and they use what they choose to use, and I'm cool with it, and I like what I do, and everyone at that network's been fucking amazing. They've never once said anything about my podcast, about my stand-up. They told me literally, whatever you do for you is you, but when you work for us, when you're wearing a Travel Channel hat, when you're the guy on, please just be respectful of our brand.
Right. No, that I totally get. Like, that is different than, I feel like, because you can be you and respectful of the brand simultaneous. Yeah. But when they're telling you to change if I'm not playing a character, because I have actually acted in stuff before. I've played, so okay, I wear glasses, cool. I wear a sweater that I would never wear, sure. Yeah. Because I'm playing a part. That's different. But they're hiring me as the host, and they're hiring me for my expertise. They're hiring me because of my rep. They're hiring me because I am me, then I'm not going to change this aspect of me where people are going, why did he change his hair? Yeah. I already get people accusing me of dyeing my hair constantly.
Really?
Yes, because I have a youngish looking face. Yeah. I've kind of a boyish face. And I think it's because, and I just tell people, and this is actually true, I was an indoor kid. It's like I was an indoor kid. While you were out hiking or playing baseball or doing sports, I was playing sports video games. I was a kid that basically stayed out of the sun. Everyone was like, aren't you going to be in ski club? I grew up in Michigan.
I think I actually knew that. Yeah. That you grew up in Michigan. I grew up in Michigan,
and I was an indoor. I was the guy who read, I was the kid who read comics. I was the kid who, the thing I did biggest outdoors physical was I had 3 newspaper routes, and that's how I had money to buy a VCR. I had a TV and a VCR in my room, and my mom didn't. So I would be recording. It's like, no, Mom, get your own VCR. That's I paid for this.
You were groomed for alternative comedy.
Well, in a way, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, but yeah.
Comic books.
Oh, I was definitely a nerd. I'm a real nerd, not this fake nerd that's going around. All over the place.
I was that. I was definitely not a nerd. I was like. I don't know. I grew up with Florida, I think, was a weird place. I don't know.
I've been to Florida. It's a weird place.
Yeah, it's a weird place.
It's a good place to be from. I say that about Michigan.
There's rednecks and Cubans and black kids and Native Americans, and you're like, and it's you go to. I just never. It was like you played sports. I didn't even know anyone that didn't play sports really.
Right.
You straight up played sports, and I remember there was some kids that played Dungeons and Dragons.
So that's outside.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's see, I would never do that.
There were some kids that played Dungeons and Dragons, and I remember going, David Germain was his name. And he had a group of Dungeons and Dragons. I think it was him, David Karp, his brother, one of his brother's friends, and they invited me over to play. And I was really excited because I thought it looked cool that you'd have a notebook full of neat stuff, and the dice is what really attracted me. So
my God, I bet we have the same story because I was not the kind of nerd that would play. I got sucked into we're going to play Dungeons and Dragons, and then I realized you guys are just making this stuff up. Why don't we just go outside, pretend we have swords, and beat the shit out of each other? That's way more fun than rolling this dice and you telling me what happens.
Mine was
So
more...
you must have had the same thing where it's just like, this looks cool from the outside. It's dumb.
I was like,
not
I just
D&D guy.
I just started playing and I was like, wait, we're taking notes? This is like doing schoolwork.
Yeah.
And
I feel like I'm a certain kind of nerd where it's like, I'll nerd out, but I will not jump off a certain cliff.
Yeah, I'm not...
Although I started doing this thing now where I do stand-up comedy where I do it in costume. And I do characters. And it's called cosplay comedy. So I'll come up and I'll do like Batman at a horrible open mic. Like...
Hey, my name's Batman. It's my first time. I'm really nervous. Butlers. I forgot the punchline.
Then I just start doing push-ups.
Yeah.
I do like Jack in the Box. I hate clowns. And then I have cards, and they have the bat symbol on the back of the cards.
That's great.
And then I dress as Batman, but Batman, like I got the shit kicked out of me, like blood dripping down. My costume is all ripped up. I look like Indiana Jones in that second Indiana Jones movie with like stuff all bloody. And I get up, and I'm like, I just got off work, and I just do this whole thing. So those are clips that I'll walk.
That's what I've definitely.
But your experience, you like went in the room and they're like they're rolling the dice. And you're like, what?
No.
This is too much work.
I was like, I can't play this. I was like, let's
it's
go
not
outside.
fun.
Do you guys have bikes? I was like,
yeah.
So no, but that's what's cool about the alternative scene is they allow that kind of playing, and you don't get that necessarily at like. I'm not going to use Omaha only because I'm going there soon, but like the Omaha Funny Bone, you're not going up in a Batman costume.
Right.
Like you will lose the crowd quickly because they were like some dudes just came straight out the farm report and they're
right. What if my goal is to lose the crowd? What if that is
it's never your goal. It's never your goal. It's because it's like Harmony Korine tried to do that movie where he got beat up because he thought and he was like, I highly underestimated how quick a fight is when you don't know how to fight.
Right. Yeah, it's usually 1-2 punches, a couple. You're tired, really really tired, not from the punching, I think. Well, actually from the punching, but also the adrenaline. Like it's like adrenaline. I've only been in a few fights in my whole life. They all ended with me bloody and and then going like, oh, this was so dumb.
And
then you end up being friends after with the person. You're always like,
oh, not me.
Well, it depends on what the fight was over.
Oh, I've been beat up a couple times, and I've never been friendly with them afterwards. And I've won fights, but I got to be honest with you, I'd rather get beat up than win a fight. Right. Only because
I'd rather not get in a fight because the other thing they don't tell you, your hand really hurts when you punch bone. Yeah, like, doesn't it hurt? Like, you're like, ow, my hand.
Sadly, I haven't had that experience a bunch.
You were probably, you know what? You were drinking machine vodka.
I was definitely, like, the fights we got in were, like, just, like, in high school, you get in fights, and it was just huge scraps, and the fact that you were in it was part of the fact that you like, that you were a man. It's like,
right.
And so I've hit a few people a few times, but mostly the one fight I did win, the depression I had the day after was so great that I was like, I did that to somebody. Like that guy didn't.
And you felt bad about it.
I felt bad about it, and I was like,
did you ever talk to that person and try?
I still haven't spoken to that person.
You should have them on their podcast.
No, I've beaten up. Beaten up's a fucking horrible word. I have not lost 2 fights, and both fights. I was like, I was an asshole. I mean, obviously,
so you deserved it. You were being a dick, or you said something you shouldn't have,
or it was like
you just say in someone's face, or like,
they got in my face, and then I got and then I got back in their face, and then I saw the weakness of like, and I'm sure that's how everyone wins a fight, but I saw the fact that as I got back in the face, maybe nothing would happen. I was like, if I punch him, I might win, which is how all fights. The first dude that punches someone usually wins.
Right.
And both times, the depression I felt the next day was so great that I was like, I will never do that again. And then the fights I lost, there was a depression that sunk in too, because you're like, oh my God. But in the fights that I lost, I never deserved to be in the fight in the first place.
Oh my God. I was in a near fight recently that I regret not getting in the fight. It was it was on Hollywood Boulevard on Saturday night during Halloween. And it's crazy, of course, everybody. This guy was getting in my girlfriend's face. Yeah. It was weird. And I just said, hey, man, it's my girlfriend, whatever. And I was like, hey, lay off. He was like getting in my face. And then like I knew the one thing you know about fighting, this is the one thing I know is always look in that person's eyes. I'm not taking the hands will be like in my eye, but I'm looking at the person's eyes because I can tell by the eyes when he's going to throw a punch.
Yeah.
You can tell by the right. Am I wrong? Like
I don't know. I've been punched too many times to be like.
So the one thing I knew was, okay, if I'm going to avoid getting punched, either if I'm going to throw the first punch or avoid getting punched, which you're right. Like I need to be locked in that person's eye line.
You need to be focused and ready to fight distinctly.
Right. So I put up my hands because I thought, oh my God, this is going to a fight, so I've got to do this. Put up my hands and I'm locked in his eyes and I'm looking at his eyes and I know when he's going to punch. And he threw a punch at me. I knew it was coming. I went like. He missed me. He swung and missed me and punched my girlfriend in the face.
Shut up.
And because I was so locked on him, I didn't see that she was like right here. We're like this.
God.
He swings, misses me, punches her. She's over here.
This is like a comedy routine.
Completely unaware that she has been punched. I'm completely unaware. And then all the security from like the comedy club comes out and they're pulling us apart. And the whole time, as we're being pulled apart, I'm like this. I'm like this with his eyes. I'm locked in the eyes. Because I'm like, you try and throw a punch again. And it's like, they knew it was my turn to throw the punch. People are holding us back. It was the guys at the valet and the security. They're holding us apart. And they eventually they struggled this guy to the ground. Like, look, you're going to be arrested by the cops or leave now. And so I'm sitting here like this. Unbeknownst to me, she's on the ground like, oh my God, and her jaw was all out of whack. And I'm like, holy shit, I felt so horrible because I failed her. I failed her. And like, okay, yes, I didn't get punched. I got this guy who was being an asshole away from her, but she got punched in the face. It was.
Like, did you see that? She's like, what?
Yeah.
I ducked the punch. How cool is that? And she's like, I didn't see it. Oh, how the fuck did you miss that?
I couldn't believe. Like, I'm telling her, like, from my point of view, it's like, hey, I went, and then when I realized I failed, I felt horrible. Like the next day, like, how do you apologize for that? And she even felt bad about how bad I felt.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh my God. I mean, I'm like, how was your jaw? And it was like the next week. It's okay.
That is so fucking.
My God.
I've ducked 2 punches in my life.
I'm just proud of myself that like I had that I don't know. It's just the what do they call that? The instinct. The
cat-like reflexes.
The cat-like reflexes. Yeah, the reflexes to just. Like and it was just from keeping locked eyes. I saw it coming. It was great.
I ducked a punch.
Proud of myself.
Ralph Dupree threw a punch at me in high school on the basketball courts, and I ducked it, and it was the baddest. It was a fucking. It was
like out of a movie.
It's out of a movie. When you duck a punch, there's no cooler feeling than poof, and you're like, miss me. And he fucking swung for the fences. He would have knocked me out, and I fucking ducked it, and I was like, that's up. That's what's up, bitch. And then the next time, and then I had some balls on me. I got in a fight with this black dude. I talked about it on stage in my hour special. This black dude named Donovan, and I was in high school, and he was a good fighter. He did beat me up technically,
right?
But there were a bunch of other black dudes around, and I was afraid to fight because I was like, what if I do knock him out? Do I think that 19 other black guys are going to be like, congratulations, you win.
Right.
So you bested him. But he threw the first punch he threw, I ducked, and I ducked too hard and hit my nose on my knee and broke my nose. Yeah. I was like, smack, and I was like, motherfucker, and he missed and was like, I'm winning? I haven't even hit you, and I'm winning? So yeah. But
then you had the bloody nose, which is the worst.
The craziest is, I've always wanted to get into like if you ran into that dude again, would you recognize him?
Probably not, because it was Halloween and we were all in costume. Like everyone was in costume, and it was like, it's that drunken Hollywood. You got to Boulevard gets.
You got to fly under the radar. That's the other thing that I do. Like I
don't think I'd recognize him actually. No.
Especially doing the road, because when you do the road, you are putting a point of view out for a bunch of strangers, and then you're drinking with those strangers, and you're going out to bars, and you might have pissed someone off. And if you go to a bar that maybe someone saw your act and they
all
didn't
of these things excite me and sound fun.
You got to, like, some guys, and I definitely was a lot louder when I was younger, but like they go out and they're like, fuck it, and they comics, and they're on the road, and then they get in fights at the bars. I mean, there's a very famous story about Mike Young getting Mike Young's a good friend of mine, getting knocked out, like they broke his cheekbone. And at a bar, just sucker punched him because they're like, "That's the fucking guy." And it was like he was hitting on a girl.
Is the worst.
Hitting on a girl, and it was in West Palm. It was a nightmare. But
so he was hitting on a girl that had a boyfriend.
And she had seen the show, and the boyfriend.
You got an instinct for that stuff.
You got to fly under the radar and be like, you go to a club, and it's like you can't get too fucked up because you gotta like. you got to be aware
And
of
you
your
might be
surroundings.
walking home with like a chunk of change in your pocket too.
Yeah,
Like,
and I don't want, like, I have no interest in getting in a fight whatsoever. I will cower to a man simply on the fact that I go, yeah, but neither of us are going to jail tonight, and neither of us are going to the hospital, and you don't accidentally hit me and my head hits a curb and I die and you go to prison for the rest of your life. You're not thinking about that, but I definitely am. I definitely am.
You reach a certain age and you're like, yeah, fighting is pretty dumb.
I'm fucking 40 years old. I got 2 kids. I got a mortgage. All I want to do is come home after this weekend and see my kids on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then go back on the road. That's
Right.
it. That's fucking it. So, like, and it takes a lot to get me to the point where I'd ever fight a dude. I'd probably fight a friend before I'd fight. You know, like, but I can't imagine.
Yeah, but when to me, in defense of someone else too, is sort of
in that situation, if someone hit my wife, someone hit my wife on accident, and I had seen it, obviously, I would lose my fucking mind. Now, on the other hand, if my wife had gotten hit for starting some shit with someone, I'd be like, honey, that's what you get. I mean.
Yeah.
My wife,
she was completely innocent. She wasn't starting anything.
No. My wife's talked shit to strangers before, and I'm like, listen, unless you've been taking jujitsu classes, we need to have a conversation because I'm not fighting this guy.
I feel like women are way more into winding people up because I feel like they're not as likely to fight. It sounds like a sexist thing to say, but
not likely. They will not fight.
Right.
Like a woman. Here's another thing: a woman will slap a dude that she doesn't know. Slap him or swing on a guy that she doesn't know because she gets so worked up.
Right.
And whereas at that same level, sometimes a guy may, maybe it's not sex, maybe it's just the type of person. But I've seen women hit men that are bigger than them, and I go, I would never hit a man bigger than me. I would never get so upset. But a man bigger than me would never take that shit. He'd just drive me into the ground. Whereas a woman can't get hit. So, like, they'll just fucking swing on it, swing on a dude that I just go, I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah. Like, God forbid this guy decides to fucking light you up.
But then if he does something, then you hit a girl. You have that, like, you hit a girl.
When Snooki...
That sense, you could never do that.
When
Snooki?
When Snooki... Why am I saying Snooki? When Snooki got hit... When she got hit, she got fucking jawed. Did you ever see that?
Was that? Yeah.
That was the first season of That bitch took a punch.
Yeah.
She is like old school fucking from the island Italian.
Yeah.
She got hit. She's not even Italian. I think she's Argentinian. She got hit like I haven't been hit that hard ever. She got fucking jawed. And she came up and she cried and everything, but she can take a punch. Yeah. Let me tell you something. I was never more impressed with a fucking human being. I was like, I've never been punched that hard in my life. That guy took a cut at her for nothing. She was just talking shit. Yeah. He took a swing at her. I was like, that was such a mind. That guy deserves.
And the best thing was seeing it 900 times after in slow motion, in black and white. Yeah. They pushed in, they zoomed, they did it fast. They had it was like
the despicable part.
They milked it.
The despicable part of this business is that there was one producer that saw that and didn't go, oh my God, that is horrible. There's one producer definitely that was like, fuck yes, you just bought me a beach house. You just got me a boat. I'm going to be rich, motherfucker. Because he saw that and he was like, yeah. Like I went like that to me blew my mind. And that guy that hit Snooki deserves all the fucking negative shit that's coming through his life right now. Right. He lost his job. No one. I mean, he hit a woman on TV.
Right.
What the fuck kind of world do you live in that you can take a swing at a woman on TV? Like, who the fuck? You wonder sometimes, was he a plant? Did the production company go, listen, man, we're going to give you $1 million. This is going to be a big series if you knock this bitch out.
First of all, that would be brilliant. It would be a very Truman Show,
Yeah.
I mean, and also, like having been involved in some stuff that's sort of borderline reality TV, that stuff is all manipulated. I mean, it's all like story produced.
If you're doing like reality television, like there's difference between like hosted reality, like what I do on Travel, and straight up reality television.
Right.
And when you watch reality, it's all fucking manipulated.
It's manipulated or unscripted TV, whatever.
I'm making sure I have a Skype with Good Morning America at
you do?
12:15.
Wow.
So I did a show with Bunna Murray where we started a fraternity, and then got a house in the hills and started a fraternity for middle-aged men, and we threw a party. And as much as they tried to manipulate it, man, they could not control this shit because they got fucking 12 middle-aged dudes, all going through midlife crises. Me, Brett Ernst, Theo Vaughn, and they put a bunch of whiskey, a bunch of booze, and then ordered porn stars for us. And like,
how bad did it get?
It got to the place like.
They didn't need to, is what you're saying?
Oh, they didn't need to manipulate a fucking thing. This show was so unairable. I mean, at one point,
did it ever? So you did the pilot for it, but never aired?
Never aired, and I didn't even see. I didn't even see the pilot, to be honest with you. Yeah, but it was so fucking out of control that there's one point where I have a girl whose nipples are taped up, pouring whiskey into my mouth, and I'm upside down. And they're having a pillow fight, and all the pillows have exploded, and everyone's jumping off the top of the house into this pool that's 4 stories down, right?
Holy shit.
Porn stars are naked in the pool in chaos, and I think I'm in a bunny costume, and I'm like, this is no one can watch this. Like, I mean, one dude at one point's crying because he's like, I'm fucking engaged to somebody. Like, I'm supposed to be getting married. Like, I think I cheated on my wife, and I'm like, and they're like, Bert, go talk to him. And I'm like, I don't know what to say to the fucking guy. Like, I think you did cheat on her, man. I think it's bad. I mean, this is so fucking out of control.
Oh, my God.
The shit that happened on that show was so... Some guy had just come back from Iraq, and he was going through post-traumatic stress real bad. And he hit a goat with a champagne bottle and fucking would wake up in the middle of the night and fucking secure the perimeter. He'd go through flashbacks. It was fucking insane.
Oh my
It was the
God.
craziest thing I've ever been a part of. It was like literally 2 days, and it was 2 days of absolute chaos. We stole a goat. Like, fucking... As much of manipulation as they tried to do, the wheels came off the second.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, I did a lot
Did
of
you
those.
get paid, though? That's all that matters.
Yeah, not a lot, but I did it because I was obsessed with the Real World Road Rules, and I wanted to talk gossip with Bud and Murray and talk about those shows. And,
Oh, wow.
And so that's why I did it, because I was obsessed with those fucking shows.
Wow.
So yeah, but yeah, man, you got to get on the road. Getting on the road.
I will-
I'll take you on the road.
yeah.
I'll take you on the road.
Let's go.
I'll take you on the road.
Sure.
Do like 20 minutes and
Where?
I
And can I drive to it? Because I love to drive on the road. if I'm
I will
doing-
tell you, scheduling a bunch of interviews. Oh, shit. My buddies, I don't know when this will air. Let me take a look at my calendar. So in April, I am in, here we go, Edmonton. You can't drive to that.
No.
Minneapolis, Omaha, Kentucky. Oh, I think Kentucky got canceled because that club closed. Then I have Austin on the 24th. You might enjoy Austin.
I love Austin. I have fans there.
Des Moines, Philadelphia, Buffalo.
Can I get your calendar on your website? I'll just check it out.
Yeah.
I'll just
Check
let
out
you
my
know,
calendar,
like-
and if there's a date you want to do, let me know. You know what I just booked?
Hell yeah.
What you'd like is Tempe.
Oh, God, yeah. You can,
Yeah.
I love Arizona. I would love to do that.
And I'll...
I got a little fan base there.
Yeah,
I've done my podcast there.
They do the stand-up live, and then maybe we'll do like a fucking Sunday afternoon live podcast or
Tempe.
something.
Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Tempe event.
And you get to see the road's fun. You sell merch. You fuck around with the crowd. You have a good time.
No, it's fun.
You go out and party.
I got a little taste of that at SF Sketchfest because I did Cobb's, and then after that, I got invited to do all these other shows that weren't part of SF Sketchfest, just other shows like San Jose and all this. And then as I was leaving, they're like, "Well, we want you to come back," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know how to do all this stuff, so I definitely need to."
It's a part of the business where you just need whatever agency you work with, an agency like I'm at UTA right now, but I've been with CAA and Paradigm and ICM and I've been with practically all of them. But you get a booker, like they have a personal appearance guy who does all your personal appearances and gets you into the club. The clubs are run by like 3 people. Like
Right.
like 90% of the clubs are run by 3 people. Then you have a bunch of B rooms. Like I meant to talk to you about this earlier. You have a bunch of like there's A and B rooms, which mostly everything these days are pretty much A rooms. And then you have like what could be considered B rooms, but are really fun rooms to do. Like Laughs Unlimited in Sacramento is a B room. The difference between an A room and a B room, an A room is probably in a bigger area, so you're getting better press and you're getting better clientele, like a smarter clientele. Some of the B rooms you can go to, and I'll say this very candidly about Laughs Unlimited because I used to work there a lot, and I like everyone there. I had a good time there, but they're getting more of the trailer park. Like like so you need to be like almost like
you gotta like lowbrow.
You not lowbrow because I don't think I ever lowbrowed it, but you definitely notice that a lot of the comics they bring in are like magicians or or
Right.
like that's a really horrible thing to say about a club I absolutely loved. I loved
Especially if
working
you
at
have
Last
friends
Unlimited.
that are magicians. That's
Well,
magicians are not going to appreciate this episode of your podcast.
they brought in, you'll bring in like hypnotists and guys who do more like prop acts, because in a room like that they cater to a different clientele. But like you go to like, I can't think of any B rooms but like, you know, there's a lot of clubs that you can get into. Like Rooster T. Feathers is a great club. Last Unlimited is a fun club. You could do Last Unlimited, and you could book yourself. You just call them up and go, "Hey, I'd like to do an off night," and they'd let you go up there. And the thing that you have, the thing that the alternative community has kind of embraced is their fans come see them. Like their fans, they drive to see them. Like Jonah Ray, once again, I don't know the guy, but if Jonah Ray did, you know, stand up live, headlined it by himself for the weekend, he could probably get a higher rate than the average dude at his level, because his Nerdist fans will come see him. They will drive out. If they don't live in that area, they will drive in droves to go see them. And that's the coolest thing about that. And I think it's starting to come over. And I think when I started, it was a lot of comics who we just went on the road and we go into the club and we had to try to win over the people that were at the club and make them our fans, as opposed to having your fans find you for whatever art you put out there and then them coming to see you perform. And that's ultimately how the business is run now, is now through these podcasts, our fans kind of gravitate towards our shows. And it's the most beautiful thing about this business and television. You know, it's like Last Comic Standing changed the business paradigm, because
I love that show. I love that show.
They'd put people on, and then all of a sudden that guy would be famous. And
Todd Glass. I mean, I never would have known about Todd Glass without that show, and now I've followed him since then.
Todd Glass is so goddamn funny. This is the third time I've talked about Todd Glass on my podcast. He is so fucking funny, and I'm so glad he came out of the closet. He's the reason I stopped saying the word like gay, as in like, oh, that's so gay. Right. And I definitely don't say the F word, even like in passing. Right. Whereas I grew up, I was that's how I. Yeah,
that term dominates high school quite a bit.
Dominated grade school and high school and college and post college. That was a term of endearment with me and my friends. Yeah. Like that's how we greeted each other, you know? And now I don't even say it, because I think, well, if there's one high school kid listening and who's having questions about his sexuality and it breaks any fucking positive day he's ever having, what the fuck does it matter to me to take a word out of my vocabulary? Right. There's a lot of words I don't use already.
Yeah, no, I had a friend like that, I was like Big Todd words. Too, that was in the closet forever. Yeah. And the worst thing was he would use the F word like all the time. And we'd be like, dude, you gotta like calm down. And he was also the guy that like if we went to a bar, we're like, hope he doesn't get in a fight. Hope he doesn't beat anybody up. He was just this angry, like very anti-gay, and be like, dude, you have to like stop. Yeah, like it would all come out when he would get drunk. Come later, I'm like at the Sundance Film Festival, and I'm like, oh, Malcolm, my friend Malcolm Ingram has a movie here. It's called Small Town Gay Bar. What? And Malcolm is like, imagine he's like, looks like you, but add like 200 pounds. He's like a big burly dude, you know, bearded, and so he comes out. It's like, dude, I'm gay. I like cock. What can I say? I like the cock, but I'm not. But he's not into like effeminate gays. As a partner, bears. He's a bear. In fact, he made another movie after that called Bear Nation. What's funny is, like, I introduced Malcolm like he was Kevin Smith's bodyguard. So he worked for me on Film Threat magazine, and then from Film Threat, I sent him on assignment to do a story on Kevin Smith's Mallrats. They became friends. He was his bodyguard for years, and then Malcolm came out as being gay, but he was he was like one of those guys where you'd be afraid to be like around him in public, because he was great to hang out like privately, but like in public, and he would start shit with people. Really? He would start fights. Yeah.
I've seen
and
people,
everyone would lose with him because he was such a big, scary dude.
Yeah, and he's not fighting just you. He's fighting all the demons that have been making him question who he is for his whole life.
Exactly, but seeing him at the premiere of his movie at Sundance, it was like the weight of the world had melted off his shoulders. Yeah. Melted off. So I think that's great, you know, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I didn't get to pick what I was. Yeah. I just admit that.
You like pussy.
Yeah.
What can you say?
We're both into pussy. Pussy.
I slam pussy.
God, love pussy.
But I
like female ass on occasion.
Todd Glass has definitely put a different perspective on the way I look at words. And, you know, but he's fucking hilarious.
But I never, it was weird. I guess growing up a nerd, I never look at anyone like, oh, that's my favorite gay comic. That's my favorite female comic.
Well, Todd Glass,
that's my favorite black
Glass
comic.
Is definitely not.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I never cared. And I think that was literally growing up with Star Trek. Like my dad and I would watch Star Trek. He loved the original series Star Trek when they were in reruns, Captain Kirk, Shatner, all that.
Yeah.
We would watch it, and like to me it was just like the logical nature of that. So I've never, and I actually almost find it offensive when I've like been to film festival things where it's like,
And now we have the women's shorts program.
how about just good short films? Who cares if they're made by women? Who cares if they're made by
The black film showcase.
I find that to be offensive because you're marginalizing a group. How about just people who make good films or people who are funny? I don't care what race, all that. It doesn't matter to me.
I think, and I may be wrong about this, but I think the reason
the race stuff just bugs me.
Yeah, I was obsessed with deconstructing race and racism.
But I still think you should be able to talk about it.
You should.
There's too much censorship about that stuff.
But I think the reason they started doing Best Women Short and Best Latino, like I noticed that they do that at Aspen. They'd be like the Latino night. And you'd be like, I think the reason they were doing that was because the people casting were predominantly white. The people in charge were predominantly white. And so they'd just be gravitated to whatever white people they liked. And so it would be an all-white film festival. So if they didn't do something that kind of made them focus on what they were not already seeing. I don't know, but I agree with you. I often wonder why there's male and female pool tournaments. Like, just it's pool.
It's not the NFL.
Yeah, it's like
the NFL. Okay, all right. There is a female football league.
Yeah, and I understand.
Is it the
bowling,
FFL?
But pool. Come on, it's like they let everyone compete poker together, male and female. Although you don't see a ton of females in there, but I'm sure that's just whatever. But
but even that, I don't like that kind of.
Do you still do anything with film stuff?
Yeah, just in terms of like producing content. Like I'm doing 2 animated shows.
Yeah.
At the moment, like so it's like so I make stuff.
Yeah.
Like as a writer and a producer and I guess director. I have to say director. But it's I mean, it's sort of like bouncing that and then like doing the comedy. I just feel like it's the instant gratification. It's like, oh, that works. That doesn't work. It's the learning by failing constantly.
Writer, producer, director, performer.
Yeah. It's all you. It's you and a microphone. So I love that. I've just always been comfortable just in front of other people talking. I don't know. And I will tell the most personal, weird, effed up stories. I do have a story about peeing blood at once, about breaking my cock in Vegas.
How did you break your cock in Vegas?
Oh God, I've told this story before. It's just, I was with a girl and this was the second time actually. The first time, I was peeing blood. I thought, oh my God, I have dick cancer. I have dick cancer. I looked it up. Never look up anything on WebMD. WebMD is the worst. And consult your doctor, but you might have cancer. Yeah. So I was peeing brown for like a week and then my doctor says, did you have rough sex recently? And I think back, yeah, I think I did. I did have the rough sex. Yes. Yeah, that's what happened. Because apparently, and this is what I learned from the doctors, this area, the genital region, is extremely resilient. More than any other part of your body, you get a scratch on your dick, it's going to heal like that.
Really?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So
then why do my herpes take so long?
I have no idea. That's crazy. I don't
have herpes, everybody. Not that it matters if I did. I kind of wish I did now. It'd be like a little bit more of a commitment with me and my wife.
Right. But like I was with my girlfriend at the time in Vegas, and we were just having some rough sex. And I'm doing that thing, and I know you've done it, where you pull all the way out and all the way back in.
Yeah.
It's the jackhammer. It's let's go jackhammer. And I kind of missed. It was in the heat of the moment. It was like a burn. I was like, and then I'm a trooper. I keep going.
I call it the conquistador.
You call it the conquistador?
Because the Spanish kept coming in and out of places.
I love that. So we're sitting there and we're done and we're looking at the bed and I'm like, there's a blood spot. I'm like, hey, must be, but like, who cares? We're at a hotel. It doesn't matter. She looks at me because I'm blaming her for the blood. She looks at me and she says, just basically look down. I looked down. It looked like a scene from Dexter in my groin region. I mean, it was bad. And it was piss and blood. Yeah. But I knew from my first experience not to be concerned. Like, okay, I was back in it the next day. Oh, God, in it the next day.
You're a gangster.
Yeah.
If that
so you've never bent your cock at full erection.
I don't have it that much. I don't
basically
have sex
you break
that much.
A blood vessel. What happens is you break a blood vessel and the blood vessel just heals.
Really? No,
Yeah.
I've heard stories of dudes breaking their dick in half and like big contusions. I heard it on Ron and Fez one time.
Yeah. Mine was not that bad. It was just a blood vessel. No, it was not like a contusion.
The worst I've ever gotten was like a pimple on my balls.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's kind of fun.
Unsightly and embarrassing.
Best place to get a pimple. Hands down, no question. That's no one sees it. It's super easy to get to, super easy to pop because your balls, are like it's like the perfect.
You don't have to look in the mirror.
Yeah, you don't have to like kind of force your fingers at a weird angle. It's just you squeeze and squirt. You're like, yeah. My dog gets pimples on his lips. The other day, my wife goes, I think that's a pimple, and goes to squeeze it. Squirt into her eye.
Into her eye? Oh,
I was like,
safety glasses.
I was like,
oh,
you don't think that far ahead. I'm sure you don't think that far ahead.
My eyes hurt.
I should probably see how long we've been going.
Oh, we go like an hour and a half. It's great.
I do have a Skype in 15 minutes. Jesus Christ. An hour and 45 minutes. This is fucking awesome.
Well, how do we end this, Bert?
Let's end it with
we have to continue this conversation because I feel like there's like 15 other things that we didn't get to talk about.
Are you into, like, what I like to do sometimes is invite a few people over?
Let's put me in that group.
Okay, cool. Yes, because I'm. It's
and thank you for having me on your show.
No, don't mention it.
This is awesome. You're on my show now.
Let's do
Pod
it.
Crash.
I heard of that.
Because what'll happen is I'm going to take the highlights of this, just the little nuggets, put it on my show. I'm going to talk all about you, and it's like a commercial for your show on my show.
Fucking love that.
Pod Crash.
I didn't know I knew that you did people's appearance and then you'd air it on your podcast.
Right,
and I was like, because when I was first started thinking about doing a podcast, I was like. I heard that and I was like, I wish I had thought of that. Then the other thing I heard was, which is, by the way, this was my original idea. I was going to have people interview me because I talk so fucking much that a lot of times, if you're not,
that's me too.
Yeah, if you're not a talker,
talk too much.
But if you're not a talker, I will overwhelm the conversation.
But I feel like we're both talkers.
We're both talkers.
50-50, but like, yeah, me too. And
I'll tell you what. I don't know him. One night, why don't we have you bring in two more guests, two friends of yours. Bring in Jonah Ray. Bring in Jonah Ray. I want to meet Jonah Ray. And we'll come in here. I'll get the beers. We'll all get hammered. We'll have a good time. We'll do a podcast.
A Mancave special.
Mancave special. So you just tell me when you want to do it.
All right.
And then we'll come in here on like a probably early evening, have a few cocktails.
Should I bring a porn star?
No, because I have my daughters.
What if it's late night and they're already
Listen, I'm a malleable man. I've changed. Part of my personality has changed. I like distinctly still watch porn, but I just the idea that my daughters would run into a porn star freaks me the fuck out. And let me tell you something. The ones hitting home runs on Vine, porn stars.
Really?
Yeah, if they could
I have to find. I just signed up to Vine, but I haven't made a movie yet.
Okay, you got to get Will Sasso. He's fucking amazing.
Oh, he's good?
He runs Vine. Him and Steve Agee. Agee?
Steve Agee. Yeah, I love Steve Agee.
Steve Agee is fucking great.
I love Steve
porn
Agee.
stars. If porn stars could just follow in Will and Steve's footsteps and have some sort of content, like some sort of like footage other than just them naked. I like them naked, but incorporate a message. They need a director to direct their Vines because sometimes it's just like you're like, enough of your fucking dog. Like, get the dogs out. It's either you naked or nothing.
Yeah,
but
balls out.
Yeah. So and then hopefully we'll do, if you're still into it, we'll do.
Let's do Arizona.
We'll do Arizona. That'll be fun.
Bert, thanks for having me on the show.
You want to plug?
Just my Twitter at that Chris Gore, and listen to my podcast Pod Crash with that Chris Gore. You can find it on iTunes and Stitcher.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This episode was brought to you by The Machine.